All right. And we are back. So, like I be telling y'all, man, I don't have to do no ad reads. I ain't got to input no ads here. So, y'all are welcome. Any of y'all who are here in the ground version where you don't have to hear no ads, better be excited. Like I said, y'all, make sure y'all subscribe, all that good stuff to the YouTube Clearing the Air podcast, Clear the Air with Chemical Air. I'm here with the one, the only Pastor KevyKev. So, we just during the break, we ended up getting talking about college basketball. And so, while our next segment is not about college basketball. It is about college sports and just kind of how college sports are changing, the way players are moving, the way coaches are moving, all that stuff. But we started talking about the most pressing thing of the week that popped up yesterday. Now we're going to go back to the beginning of the week and talk about Deion Sanders real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip for you, Kev. I'm sure you've heard it, but for those who have not, I'll go ahead and play this for y'all, and then we will go from there. Might take a second to pop up because that's just the way it goes.
Where do you predict Shador and Travis going in the draft?
Top 4.
That's pretty beautiful.
Anywhere from 1 through 4. One of them is going to be 1. The latter one would not go behind 4. Now, all this is subjective because I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't going to happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's going to be it's going to be an ELI.
So Deion Sanders. Okay, so to add a little bit of context.
Where do you
Oh, God. We're going to play it again? Okay. To add a little context, Travis Hunter, from what I read, like he's actually living with Deion and Shador. So he's kind of like a second son to him and whatnot. 1 through 4. When I first heard it, it kind of sounded there's a lot to unpack here. When I first heard it, it kind of sounded like a stretch. Then I started to think about, well, there ain't no really quarterbacks coming out next year. They all decided to come out this year, and which is why it was smart for him to stay. He's in the. Are they still in the Pac-12 or did they realign somewhere? I don't really know where they're at. So he's probably going to be at a pretty easy, I mean,
I think they moved to the Big 12.
the Big 12. I see. Well, so he's still got a chance to shine, and he's got a chance to kind of be the number 1 quarterback coming in. And then the crazy thing about Travis Hunter is, he plays 2 ways. Now, I don't know if Travis Hunter is a good enough corner to be a top 5 pick or a good enough receiver to be a top 5 pick, but he's not going to play both in the NFL. So because of that, and honestly, I don't even want to say that because I guess it's happened before. And I guess people see who he is, see the position she plays, and then sees that his coach is Deion Sanders and can think, oh, well, maybe. But so yeah, so the part that, of course, a lot of people were discussing is, it's going to be an Eli. Eli decided, hey, I'm not playing for the Chargers. Not doing it. Trade me. Or they said we're about to draft you. You don't want it. All right, well, we'll trade for whoever. Long story short, Eli and Phillip Rivers get traded for each other. So here's my thing with this. Because this isn't even coming out. And it's funny because it brings up the player empowerment versus player entitlement piece of things. But this didn't even come out of either player's mouth. This came out of a coach. And Deion Sanders has a very, very bad habit of making every situation that he's kind of around, making himself the center of the situation. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I don't have enough knowledge about Deion and about what he's got going on and what he's making happen to cast any sort of judgment or any sort of like, just like, I don't know, a real opinion on it. Right. So yeah, but I don't think I like this, Kev. I don't think I like it. I don't think that I have a huge problem with players staying like with players having the power. I mean, think about the structure of the NFL now. All right, you're a 21-year-old kid. We're gonna draft you. You don't know where you're gonna go. You have no control over that. Then you got to come to the rookie mini camps and do that stuff. And we don't know where your family is. Nor do we care. And basically for the next 7 years, you're ours, and you're gonna go where we tell you to go. You're gonna get paid as much as you're already scheduled to get paid, blah, blah, blah. And there's no real say in that. You just kind of have to make the best of that situation in hopes to maximize your profit earnings. And just the way the rules and CB and all that stuff is set up, it's set up for people to stay, not be jumping from team to team, especially in basketball. So I do think that there is a benefit to players having some control in their future, because at the end of the day, it is their future. These organizations survive. Players, it's a lot different. But I also think that you start to open a, a can of worms that it might not be beneficial to us culturally, socially, economically, sports wise to open. What say you?
So, I guess the question is really, how many teams are there currently where you would pull a Eli, right? Because all right, so we know Caleb Williams going to the Bears, right? But the Bears have done everything to show Caleb Williams, we believe in you, getting Keenan Allen, bringing over the, Swift, going for Montez Swift, all this stuff that we know the Bears did. They did a great job, right? From a GM standpoint, on paper, still got to play the game. How many other teams, especially a QB team like, or QB, a team that need QBs, are Eli like or Chargerish like ways right now? Like, what do you think? Is anybody who has a bad owner?
It's funny because it's so funny you say that, because that was one of the points I made on the pod earlier this week, was like, I don't think that there's really any teams that are like boycottable,
Yeah.
like, and the reality of it is you can't say, well, I don't want to play in cold weather because you play in Colorado. So it's not like that's like who are we talking about? Like, okay, I don't know what the Charger situation was then. This ain't like, the Washington Redskins owner, they're not even the Redskins anymore. Now they're the Commanders, but the owner of the Redskins, he's gone. Like, so he sold the team. I mean, who are we talking about here? Like, who would you not want to play for? Like the Raiders,
Panthers?
maybe it's a I don't want you in Vegas at that age, right? Panthers probably wouldn't draft you, but if they did, that might be the team that is like, okay,
Right, and they don't need to draft because they got Bryce
Pepper
Young.
don't know
Right.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm looking here, like the Jets are a pretty poorly ran franchise from the
Okay,
front office,
Jets.
but we've seen worse.
Jet.
Um,
I would put Jets up there. I'll put Jets. If I was a quarterback, I would not want to play for the Jets.
yeah, man, same. It used to be the Browns, but at this point, if I was a quarterback, I think I would love to go to the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
They stacked over there. Other than that, man, dude, like I don't Tennessee.
I mean,
Um,
how many? So Jets may be the only bad owner, bad coach. I don't think Saleh's a good coach in my opinion. Bad owner, bad coach. How many of those pairings are there? Because the Panthers one, is a bad owner, but you can't really say coach because he's a rookie head coach. So how many bad coach, bad owner are there?
the only one you got is Jets. But
Okay.
even with that, if they're picking high enough to draft you, they probably have a new coach as well.
Right. So that's what I was getting at. Like, is that a what's the guy from Detroit Lions?
The coach or
Johnson.
Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson. Is that a Ben Johnson destination? Then I want to go there, for example.
So yeah. So I mean, I don't really see anywhere. And so it's like, okay, so then if you're Deion Sanders and this is your son, are you saying, all right, well, we're in Colorado, so we want you to be somewhere close to, like, I don't want you in Miami when I'm all the way over here and I can't.
That'd be a good move, though.
Well, I want to get into a couple ideas that I had that we've kind of discussed briefly, but we can put it on mic. But so maybe that's what his thing is about. It might not be about the team and more just about his preference. But again, this is Deion making this situation about Deion. And I don't know, man. Like, do you say you don't want to play for the Giants? I guess I probably wouldn't want to play for the Giants if I don't want to play for the Jets. I feel like, to me, I see them about the same. But I do like Brian Daboll, so I don't think that it's like that big of a deal. I don't know. It's weird, but honestly, like, I want to get into, because the Deion part is just, again, that's just Deion. It didn't come out of either player's mouth, so I don't even. And they'll say the right things. Oh, I'll play for anybody who's.
Right,
I'll just be thankful for the opportunity. They will. But LeBron James has we consider LeBron James kind of the guy who orchestrated this player empowerment era with his the decision to go to Miami in 2012. And how from then it was like, players changing this, that, and the third, and it's kind of bled over into other sports. I mean, free agency has always been a thing. Demanding trades has always been a thing. But we know what we mean when we say this player empowerment era. And now you got NIL. So of course people want to say that it's funny because people assume if you're making money, you're entitled. So when they say things like, oh, these coaches are trying not to coach anymore because they don't want to deal with these entitled kids, it was like, well, who said these kids were entitled? Like, because they're making money. And that's the type of stuff you hear from people who don't make money or ain't making no money. That's just how that goes. Hate speech. But yeah, I don't like the idea of this becoming a thing. Again, I'm not someone who's like, oh, who are you to? We've been doing it this way for so long. Who are you to come in here and change stuff up? Everybody loves a good person to ruffle some feathers. We all loved Baker Mayfield for that part of things. But I don't know. I don't think that is the best for sports, and I think that it takes it takes too much away from just playing the game in general. I like my quarterbacks or my players in general focused on playing and getting better and winning games. Not really concerned about someone trying to make sure that they can be a culture mover. Like let other people do that. Let other people succeed and be successful at doing that stuff. I need you to focus on succeed at the thing I pay you millions of dollars to do.
So where do you think like why would Deion say this? Why would he bring this up as far as to pull an Eli? Because for what, right? So here are teams that potentially maybe in the QB race next year, right? So you have Titans, okay, possibly the Giants. You mentioned New York earlier. Possibly the Jets with Aaron Rodgers' age. They don't have a backup plan yet. What's the succession plan post Aaron Rodgers? Vegas or Broncos, depending on if they take a quarterback this year. And that's probably it because everybody else is probably drafting their quarterback this year. Maybe the Patriots in that line, depending on if they draft one at 3 or trade back. So it's not that many teams, right?
Maybe Minnesota if the draft just doesn't fall for them to get a quarterback.
A reach, right, exactly. So you may, so that 11, 12, 13 run of Minnesota Broncos Raiders in the draft, we'll see what they do. But everybody else is pretty much, Seattle would be one as well.
Sure. Yep.
So out of those options, I mean, you want to go Seattle, weapons, defensive head coach though, but Minnesota has the weapons. New England do not right now. Jets has weapons. Giants do not have anything right now. So it's kind of like, so where we talk about Titans has some weapons. They paid Calvin Ridley. They brought Tony Pollard in. So any quarterback, no matter what it is, you want to go to a team that one can protect you, which Sanders know about bad O-line play, right? And then you want to go with some weapons, which at Colorado, he has elite weapons. So as long as you get one of the two, you hope the other team is to build on the other and you be fine. So I don't know why Deion would say this. And I don't, the Travis Hunter thing is minute anyway, because he's a corner receiver. Who cares?
Right.
Your job is to stop the other guy, or your job is to get open and catch the ball, whoever that is. So I'm not worried about Travis Hunter. He just saying that because he's trying to loop them together. But
couple of other ones that might be sneaky. I think the Rams could be a sneaky team at trying to get a quarterback future wise as well.
Carson Wentz.
All right. And the Saints. Look, man, Derek Carr will after this year will be after 2 of his 4-year deal. They probably need one.
I would kind of not want to go to the Saints.
Maybe not. Probably not.
Not necessarily because the owner, but and they'll be getting a new coach too if that's the case. I don't think he survives another. Dennis Allen survives another QB change, in my opinion. But yeah,
I don't know why he would really where he doesn't want to go or why. But I
do think
that this starts to like just open up a worm. Because Deion Sanders, okay, so let's say Deion Sanders decides that he's saying, hey, Shador's not playing for you, New York. So don't draft him. And then next year, QB1 says, oh, all right, well, then I'm not playing for such and such. And we get to the point where it's like, yo, dog, like, because for me, if I'm a team and I'm like, I need a quarterback and you're that good, I'm going to draft you. And I'm going to check your oil and I'm going to call your bluff. Now, you tell me if you want to sit here and sit on the NFL for 4 years and not make a dime. Go ahead. Like, let's see, because it's easy for me to go find a backup and go find an Andy Dalton type who we just gonna be sorry. But the whole world knows that it's you. That's why you're not playing, not me. Like, let's go. Let's see who really has it here. Because at the end of the day, after we go 4 years and you haven't played a snap because you thought that you were gonna just like strong arm me to trading you or to whatever. Which, by the way, hey, newsflash: if we're trash again because you didn't want to play, I'll go get the next quarterback. And then, you know, and so now we're to the point where it's like, does somebody after 5 years want to be like, dang, he was a good prospect 5 years ago, but clearly, you know, hey, you want to miss game checks? Fine. I guarantee you that a rookie who says, I'm not playing for y'all, if I say, well, guess what? I'm going to draft you anyway, and then you can sit down. I guarantee you they're going to, whether it's because of competitive edge, whether it's because of financial, whatever it is, you can't sue me. And if you don't want to sign a contract, well, I have the draft right. Like you, there's nothing you can do as a player.
Yeah. And then so I guess maybe Sanders just mean like at the time when he got drafted, he did not want to go to Detroit for obvious reasons. Laughing stock of the league. I don't think we really have a laughing stock of the league because a team like Houston just came out of the mud, right? Won 2 games the prior year, going up. The Panthers. Yes, they had did what they've done, but they have done a good job in the offseason so far to try to get out of there, right? And that's only recently the last few years. So I don't think there's no current team right now who's just bottom of the barrel, hasn't made a decision. I guess outside of maybe the Jets, but they still won 6 or something games, right? So I guess the only way you can look at it is maybe he doesn't want Sanders to go to a team that's not profitable, meaning Tennessee. But every other team he named, LA Rams, Minnesota, the New York teams, Vegas, all the other teams either has everything you need to succeed and or the star power or the marketability to make you better than what you are or put more dollars in your pocket. So if that's what he's talking about, maybe because there's no way there's no way in Tennessee probably don't fit any of the bill, right? But it's an offensive minded coach where you want to be, where you got a really D Hop and Tony Pollard, and you like it. But it seems like it could be a successful route for a good young quarterback. So I'm not sure what Deion. Maybe Deion just saying stuff just to spur some things up because I'm not sure like where he's getting a team that is I'm not going. And the Chargers at the time, they had Drew Brees prior. And Drew Brees wasn't sorry, and they was winning games. They just as a cheap owner. That was a cheap owner.
Yeah.
That was I get it, you know.
And then maybe they had something with like, oh, we did like, you know, because I wasn't old enough to really know what was going on there, and it could have been something with the way they like treated his health with his shoulder, and like maybe there was just something that was other than just
right.
We're just gonna pull Eli because we have the power to do that. Like I think it was a little bit more. And then on top of that, you got to remember the year Eli got drafted was the draft after the season Peyton won MVP. So like, right, like we over here like, oh, Peyton just won MVP. Here comes his brother, Archer's son. Oh yeah. This is not Shador Sanders.